Hey guys, Anthony Stanhope here. I'm doing a podcast for my advanced sessions recording class with Darren Schneider. I'm in the February 2012 class at Full Sail University. I want to talk to you today a bit about one of my favorite producers anyway, who's Steve Albini. Steve is a punk rock producer based out of Chicago who really became famous in the early to mid 90s and is still pretty well known today. He really also had a hand in shaping not only punk rock sounds that came out of Chicago, but also defining grunge with bands like Nirvana, working on In Utero. Steve got into the music scene and got into recording by doing work with bands in the Chicago area. He was in a band called Big Black from 1982 to 1987, roughly, in which point he started recording his own group and trying to do his own thing there, as well as a band that he's in currently that he formed in 1992 called Shellac, who have also been relatively successful for what they do. Some of his other credits include Robert Plant, Chevelle, The Stooges. He's worked with many people over the years. And currently, he's got his own studio in Chicago called Electrical Audio, which is one of the biggest studios in Chicago. And that's kind of his dream of a studio, was just kind of building up to that, because prior to that, he had been recording out of his own home. And that's where actually a lot of his earlier things were recorded. Such as the Nirvana album that was discussed. Going a little deeper into that Nirvana album, it was kind of controversial at the time, where they made Steve Albini kind of the scapegoat for the situation. The label got In Utero, which had some Nirvana songs on it, such as Rape Me, which were relatively successful for the band. The radio didn't really see it the label didn't really see it that way, though. They wanted to scrap the entire album, kind of manipulated Nirvana back into re-recording it, and kind of just sent them back to Steve to see what he could do. Steve, at the time, just told the band, I'll give them a listen and see if I can do anything with it, but if I really feel like it's my best shot that I had done already, then there's nothing I can really do. You guys are free to go to whoever. And in the end, that's pretty much what Steve had to tell them. He was lucky where the band, or not necessarily the band, but the label behind them, blamed Steve completely for having such a crappy sounding record, and still survived and continued to make great records after that point. One other album or group that Steve's worked with that I'm a really big fan of is the Pixies. And it's kind of cool how he went about recording the album he did with them. Because he kind of pulled from other experiences he had had recording to make that album, and he just kind of wanted something that would continuously flow throughout an album, track to track, not necessarily single-based like a lot of music today is. It was something he had worked on with other bands in the past, but it didn't really become a mainstream idea until he had tried tying the songs together with the Pixies. And that really gave them kind of their new sound that they were eventually known for, or their biggest selling songs came from the ones that they did with Steve Albini. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you'll go check out some of other Steve's stuff that he's done. You can check out his studio in Chicago at electricalaudio.com, I believe. Thanks for watching.